Have you ever felt like your mind is just a runaway train, with thoughts you just can't seem to stop? Well, we're going to dive into a simple, really old story that holds this surprisingly powerful secret to quieting all that noise. And believe it or not, it all comes down to a wise teacher, a troubled young man, and a single ordinary glass of water. So, let me ask you this. Does your mind ever feel like a storm? I'm talking about that chaotic whirlwind of to-do lists, things you regret from the past, worries about the future, all of it just swirling around, making it impossible to find even 1 second of calm. If you've ever felt that way, you are going to see yourself in the hero of our story. So, let's meet Marco. He's only 24, but honestly, he feels completely worn out. His mind is just this constant buzz of thoughts that leave him feeling uneasy and totally exhausted, like he's trapped in this relentless cycle of his own thinking. You see, Marco's mind was basically a time traveler, but it only ever went to 2 places: the past, which always made him sad, and the future, which just filled him with anxiety. He was never, ever truly living in the present moment. And this constant mental storm, it had real consequences. It stole his calm during the day, it wrecked his sleep at night, it even stole his smile. His inner world was completely taking over his outer life. But, just when things seemed totally hopeless, Marco heard a rumor. It was a story about this wise old man, a former psychologist who'd left the big city to live a quiet life with nature. People were saying he'd helped so many find peace of mind, and for Marco, this was a tiny flicker of hope. And that one thought, that was it. That was all he needed. Marco made a decision. He packed his things and started this long, tiring journey into the hills, all of it driven by this one little bit of hope that maybe, just maybe, this wise man had the answer. So when Marco finally meets the wise man and just pours his heart out, he doesn't get some big lecture or a complicated theory. Nope. Instead, he gets this really strange, really simple task. The man hands him a glass of water, filled right to the absolute brim, and tells him, walk through the busy village and back, and don't spill a single drop. I mean, just imagine the scene, right? The road was narrow and totally chaotic. You've got people rushing past him, merchants shouting about their goods, dogs barking, basically 100 different distractions all trying to break his focus. The chance of messing up was everywhere. But Marco, he didn't even look around. He didn't react to any of the noise. His entire world just shrank to that single glass of water. Every single ounce of his focus was on keeping it steady, moving slowly and deliberately with each careful step. Finally, Marco gets back, and he's done it. Not a single drop spilled. The wise man just smiles, and then he starts asking him these simple questions about all the distractions he had just walked past. And Marco was just stunned. He hadn't noticed any of it. Not the kids, not the dogs, not the merchants. His answer was so simple, all of my attention was on the glass. There was just no mental space left for anything else. And that, right there, that was the secret. By focusing his entire mind on one single, present task, there was simply no room left for his old worries or his future fears. His mind became quiet, not because he forced it to, but because he focused it. And this was Marco's big aha moment. The peace he had traveled so far to find, it wasn't in some distant village or in the words of a wise man. It was already inside him. And it was accessible anytime. He could just bring his full attention to the now. The transformation was just profound. The restless, worried guy who showed up was leaving as someone completely different. He was calm, he was changed, he was peaceful. And it wasn't because his problems had vanished, it was because he finally held the key to managing his own attention. And right here, in his own words, this is the lesson Marco took with him. He got it. He understood that the power to find peace wasn't about trying to stop your thoughts, but about redirecting your focus so intensely into the present that all those other thoughts, they just fade away. So why does this story matter to you and me? Because it's not just a story, it's a practical technique. The lesson here is for us to find our own glass of water, that one task or focus that's so engaging that it anchors you completely in the present moment and quiets the storm. So that leaves us with one final and really important question. The next time your mind feels like that storm, what is the one thing you can focus on with such total intensity that everything else just melts away? What is your glass of water?